What if I told you that the most effective ads in the world's biggest e-commerce market aren't the slick, super polished ones we're used to? What if they're the ones that look like they were made in about 5 minutes on a phone? Today we are diving into the really powerful and honestly kind of puzzling world of Chinese short video ads.
All right, so let's jump right in with a little comparison. On one hand, you've got the traditional digital ads we see everywhere. You know the ones. They're like mini movies. High budget, beautifully shot, and let's be honest, the ones we're all trained to just skip.
But then you have these ads from Douyin, which is China's version of TikTok. They often look homemade, a little rough around the edges, and they blend right in with all the other videos in your feed. So here's the billion-dollar question. How is it possible that these lo-fi ads are so much more successful? Well, let's figure it out.
To really crack this puzzle, you first have to understand the platform itself. In China, Douyin isn't just another social app on your phone. For hundreds of millions of people, it is the new primetime television.
And get this, the average user in China spends 110 minutes a day watching short videos. That is staggering. We're talking nearly 2 hours. That's the length of a whole feature film every single day.
And when you put that number up against everything else, it's not even a contest. The time people spend on short-form video absolutely dwarfs the time they spend on movies, on live streams, even on music. It is totally taken over as the #1 form of online media in China.
So why is it so addictive? Well, it comes down to a few key things. First, it's just passive. You don't have to think or search, you just open the app and swipe. The algorithm then feeds you this hyper-personalized stream of high-density content. And the craziest part? It appeals to literally everyone in China, from teens all the way up to their grandparents.
Okay, so you've got this massive, totally captivated audience. The next piece of the puzzle is understanding how all that attention gets turned into a powerful engine for commerce. Because this, right here, is the real secret sauce.
You know, for the longest time, advertising was all about one thing: memory. The goal was to get a brand name or a catchy jingle stuck in your head so that later, when you're at the store, you'll remember it and buy it. But these short video ads? They just blow that whole model up. The journey is completely collapsed. You see a product in a video that looks just like any other fun post. And if you like it, you just tap the screen and you're on the purchase page. See it, tap it, buy it. It is that seamless.
And this is the crucial shift. The whole point is no longer about making the brand name memorable for later. It's about making the product so irresistible in that exact moment that you feel an immediate impulse to buy it, right then and there. The feeling of "I want that now" completely takes over.
All right, so that's the theory. Sounds pretty powerful, right? But what does it actually look like when companies put it to work? Let's dive into some real-world case studies and see how this thing performs.
First up, we've got the food giant Mondelez. They had a pretty common problem. Their normal video ads on streaming services were only reaching about 60% of the people they wanted to reach. A huge chunk of their audience was just missing.
So they ran a parallel campaign on Douyin, and the results were frankly stunning. When they did a follow-up survey, a massive 67% of people who remembered seeing the ad had seen it only on Douyin. They were reaching a massive captive audience that was completely invisible to other digital channels.
Okay, next up, let's talk about the cosmetics brand Carsland. They were launching a new product and they wanted to know what kind of ad was best, not just for getting their name out there, but for actually making people want to go out and buy it.
So they had Nielsen compare different ad formats, and the answer could not have been clearer. Yeah, the other ads raised awareness, sure, but the short video ads were way better across the board, especially at driving positive feelings and, this is the most important part, actual intent to purchase.
And for our last example, let's look at Sanyan Foods, a dairy company. Their goal was simple but tough to achieve. They wanted their target audience to see their brand message at least 3 times. You know, that magic number where a message really starts to sink in. The results here were just insane. They almost hit their goal, getting an average of 2.8 views per person. And the cost to do it? Just 0.06 yuan per targeted consumer. We are talking less than 1 US cent. That is an absolutely incredible level of efficiency.
Now, before we all get completely carried away here, it is really important that we take a step back and talk about where all this data is coming from. Because, context is everything.
See, all of these case studies were published by a platform called Giant Engine. And, well, Giant Engine just so happens to be the official data and marketing platform for ByteDance. Yep, the same company that owns both Douyin and TikTok.
So, what does that mean? Well, as IT journalist Takefumi Makino points out, while the data itself is probably objective, these case studies are basically the platform's greatest hits. We should think of them as powerful proof of what's possible on the platform, but maybe not the average result for every single campaign.
So let's zoom out. What is the big lesson here? Why does any of this matter, especially if you're not advertising in China?
What we're really witnessing is this fundamental shift away from ads that interrupt the content we want to see and towards a new model where the ad is the content. The line between entertainment and e-commerce isn't just blurring. For all intents and purposes, it's already gone.
And that brings us to one final, really provocative question. If the absolute best way to sell something is by creating content that doesn't even feel like an ad until the moment you tap buy, then is the future of advertising not actually making ads at all? Something for all of us to think about.